Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider and this is the 25th video lecture on Unity3D C# programming. In this video part we are going to talk about another function which does the collision handling. Okay, it does the collisions and that is a little different from on collision enter. Um, we'll write some code and see what it does. But before we go and write some code, I must tell you that I have created three boxes here, four cubes actually, and these are the four cubes, and I have assigned it this material here, which doesn't matter because it's not about materials. And um, what I want here that we make these boxes invisible. Okay, we don't want a user to see these boxes. As you can see already in our game, if we play our game right now, there is a box which is blocking our camera view, and we cannot see our character in the scene. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll actually go ahead and disable the mesh render component of these boxes. And what this will do, it will make those boxes invisible in our game. Okay, so our user cannot see them when he's playing the game, but they are there in the game. Let's go ahead and play the game and let's see what difference does it make. So I'm going towards the boundary, and you can see it cannot go past through those boxes, those invisible boxes. So by creating these simple boxes and making them invisible, we have created a boundary for our game. Okay, so that user cannot go and jump uh, through the edge. Okay, jump from the edge actually. So the rest of the game works similar, like if we go and hit a friend object, it's actually not working um, because I have changed the code. Here we had this on collision enter function, and I have commented out that very code um, which was handling the collision for us. And I have written a new function which is called OnTriggerEnter, and it takes a collider object as an argument. And I have copied the same code which I have written in on collision function, and I have copied the same function here, and I changed only one thing, which is this other collider thing. Okay, so now I'm not using collision.gameObject.tag, but I'm using other.gameObject.tag. So what it will does, it will basically when you are moving, when your character is moving and it hits a game object which has a collider, and if its trigger is on, okay, if its trigger is on, then this function will be executed. Okay, so let's say I have this box right here, and I turn its trigger um, property and turn it on, and now if I play the game, watch what happens. That box fell down and passed through our ground. Okay, and it's going down and down and down. Okay, now when we are using is trigger property on a game object, we need to actually, if we want it to stay on our game, we want to remove or disable use gravity method, use gravity functions on our rigid body. But for now I'm removing the rigid body component, and now um, I'm playing, and that box is not falling down because there is no rigid body component attached to it. Okay, it is levitating in air. But watch what happens if I go closer to it and hit it. Okay, what it did actually, it triggered this function which we have written here. Okay, so what it does now, that if our game object has this collision script, and what it does, it actually checks if um, if our character is moving, this was moving, and um, it hits some object which has its is trigger property on its box collider, then what it will do, it will actually trigger that. And if a collider has entered that trigger, then it will execute this piece of code right here, written here. And this does pretty much the same thing. It checks if the other game object tag is friend, then we delete that, and we increase our scaling factor. And if that other game object tag is enemy, we destroy our game object, okay, ourself, our player basically. So let's play it once again and see what happens. These boxes still work. Actually they don't work because we have commented out this this code right here. And if we go and remove those comments and we play it once again, excuse me, now if we go and hit those, we are doubled now. And if we go and hit our this levitating 3D object, and if we enter its trigger, and we also increased our players um, size just like that. Okay, so that's how its trigger function works, and that's how on collision enter function works. So these are two different ways to do the same thing, but they will be different because if you are using it with a cube and you didn't use the is trigger method, then it will not work. Okay, you must um, use this is trigger method, and you must not have the rigid body component, because if you do have, it will fall through your grounds. Okay, so this was pretty much all about this video part. And before I go, I must tell you that there are other functions also, like on collision exit, on collision stay, and also on trigger exit and on trigger stay. So they're pretty much self-explanatory, and they explain themselves that when if a collision happened, if our object collided with this game object right here, and it will when that collision occurred, it will execute this function right here, which we have written here. And if we want to do something when our user exited the collision, we can do that by writing this function, and write whatever we want our character to do. Okay, um, let's actually take this and copy it here. So what it will do basically, um, let's go ahead actually and play the game and let's see what happens. So here we are going and we enter the trigger, and let's actually not destroy it and see what happens. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, and that's how it works. So this is pretty much all about this video part. I hope you liked it, and I hope you learned about the different functions here, and you also learned what we can do with them. Okay, so see you next time. Have fun, take care, and bye bye.